What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made these. Beautiful, delicious, smoky, tender, cured, bacony, amazing bacon cured spare ribs. That's right, folks. Today we're taking a rack of spare ribs and treating them just like a rack of Leroy & Lewis bacon ribs with a cut that's a little bit easier to find for the home cook. Coming up. This is some meat. Pat them dry. And what I got here is some pork ribs, some pork spare ribs, the full spare rib to be precise, because they're a little bit bigger, a little bit meatier, and a little bit cheaper than the pre-trimmed version, aka St. Louis cut ribs. But I'm sure St. Louis or baby backs would work out just fine for what we're doing today. And that's because today we're taking a look at a more home-friendly version of the Leroy & Lewis bacon rib. And if you're unfamiliar with the bacon rib, back when I was working at Leroy & Lewis several years ago, Evan and I were going to a barbecue festival or an event, I think it was down in Houston or something, and we wanted to bring a unique dish. So after spitballing ideas back and forth, we kind of came to the realization that we're one of the very few barbecue joints that's actually bringing in whole pigs every week, and we can kind of pull out whatever cuts we want. And what we landed on was the bacon rib, which is essentially a bone-in pork belly, or a rack of spare ribs like this, but with the pork belly still on it. Then we cure it like bacon, smoke it like a rack of ribs, and what you get is a super tender, really big, juicy, bacon-flavored pork rib that eats more like a beef rib, but tastes more like bacon, and it's really good. And I've heard several people say that it's the best bite in barbecue. But getting that cut at home, unless you're breaking down your own pigs or you have a good relationship with your butcher and you can order one in special, it's kind of hard to find. So today we're going to try and do a more approachable version by just bacon curing a rack of spare ribs just like this and smoking them off, and hopefully it's going to be really good. But first things first, we're going to get this thing trimmed up, starting on the back side and taking off this big skirt meat on the back here. Probably could leave it on, but I like to take it off. Kind of cooks on kind of weird. Followed by removing this breastbone. Find the last little baby rib and we'll just kind of square this up, give it a flip, give it some shape, and just touch up any of the corners. Always got this little weird muscle on this side which you can take down, rounding everything off. And when I was at the grocery store, I was looking around for the thickest, fattiest ribs, and these are looking pretty thick and pretty fatty, so it should cook up really nicely. Take off this little baby bone on this side as well. I'm making these a little bit boxier and a little more square than I usually would, just because we're probably going to cut these into individual ribs at some point, and I want them to be nice and uniform. Backside looking pretty good. We're going to leave the membrane on. I'm a membrane on kind of guy. And just like that, in no time at all, we've got ourselves some beautifully trimmed up, nice and square looking, fatty little spare ribs. And typically when I'm making bacon out of pork belly, I'll grab some of my bacon cure. Made a big batch a long time ago, it lasts forever. And then I'll weigh out the meat, do about 3% of this mixture, which is salt, curing salt, sugar, and some other aromatics and spices. I'll throw a link for this in the description box down below. But because these are spare ribs, I'm a little concerned about how much of the weight of this meat is actually bones. Because if I did 3% cure on the meat, accounting for all those bone weights, these would probably come out way too salty. So I'm gonna cut it in half and do 1.5%, and hopefully everything goes according to plan, but I'll let you know. And hopefully they don't come out too salty. But what I really should do is just buy a rack of spare ribs and remove all the bones and weigh them and get a proper ratio, but I can't be bothered today. But if anyone's ever done that, let me know. So after weighing out these pork ribs, I got 1.5%, which is about 22 grams for this rack. And simply enough, down we go. I got this sitting in some plastic wrap so I can wrap these up nice and tight. And I'm gonna do a little bit of a dusting on the back side here, but I think I'm gonna put most of this cure on the top side where all the meat is, because back here is mostly bones and membrane. Beautiful looking rack of ribs though. And now we'll go down with all the rest of the cure on top. And you know what? I don't think we really need to pay too much attention to the sides because this is gonna get wrapped up nice and tightly, which will then draw out some moisture and this thing will be sitting in its own little brine. But either way, try to get even coverage whenever you can. I'm gonna go ahead and flip these back over so the meat side is down and we can go ahead and get this thing wrapped up. Nice and tight. And just like that, all wrapped up, looking absolutely beautiful. Nice tight package here. I did put a few layers of extra plastic on this to hopefully keep all the juices in, but at the same time, I'm also gonna keep this on a sheet tray like this in the fridge, just to make sure we don't make a mess of everything. But now in the fridge, this goes to cure, tighten up, and develop flavor. And because this is a pretty thin rack of ribs, probably 4 or 5 days is all you need, but anywhere from 5 days to maybe 8 is probably what you're looking for. Typically, I do a 7-day cure on pork belly and things like that. So in the fridge this goes, and we'll check back in several days. And this video is brought to you by Poncho, my favorite shirt, and Poncho has really taken over my wardrobe over the last 6 months or so, and for good reason. Not only do they look great, but they're super comfortable as well with their super lightweight, breathable fabric, got a good 4-way stretch to them, and a lot of great features. They've got a few different sizing options and several styles to choose from. This is the Western shirt, meaning we got the pearl snaps running all the way down, as well as on the pockets. Also, the collar snaps shut for a nice clean look. A built-in sunglasses holder, use this one all the time, very convenient, as well as a built-in lens cloth. Nice touch. And of course, this big old zipper pocket over here where you can fit your phone or your sunglasses or whatever else you need. And this one is the original, which has all the same functionality as the other one, except it's got buttons instead of pearl snaps and magnetic pockets. And then you've got the ultralight, and this is definitely what I'm gonna be rocking going into the summer because it's just a simplified version of their other shirts with a single chest pocket. We still got the snaps on the collar, but no zipper pocket, no sunglass holder, but the lens cloth is still there. And this might be my favorite shirt they make because it's just so incredibly lightweight and breathable and perfect for standing around a fire in the summers in Texas. But it still looks great and fits incredibly well. And there's a whole bunch of other shirts they make like polos and flannels and things like that, so highly recommend checking them out because it's not often I reach for the exact same shirt whether I'm firing up the grill or going out on a fancy dinner date. But no matter what I'm doing, Poncho's got me covered. I'm genuinely a big fan of these shirts and all my friends wear them too. Bones loves them, Evan wears them all the time. Dave from the UK picked up a few when he was over here a couple weeks back, and they've all got nothing but positive things to say. Plus, they're an Austin-based company, so it's great to support local. So if you want to check out Poncho shirts for yourself, click my link in the description box of this video where you can enter your email and get $10 off your first purchase. Again, link down below taking you to ponchooutdoors.com where you can enter your email and get $10 off your first purchase. Thank you, Poncho. 7 days later, out of the fridge these come. And I gotta say, these look pretty much exactly the same, but they do feel a bit more firm and they look a little bit darker in color. But I'm gonna go ahead and get these unwrapped and fully rinsed off. But it is nice that they're not swimming in so much juice. I think I was thinking about the salmon that I made over the holidays for making some cured gravlax, because that was swimming in juice. But also, not nearly as much cure as usual. Looking very nice. And now I'm gonna go inside and wash these off to make sure we don't have any extra cure or spices on the outside. And after a thorough rinse and a thorough dry, these are looking absolutely beautiful. So let's go ahead and fire up the pit. One of these days, I'm gonna have to make some snakin' ribs. And on the pit we go. Got the old offset smoker here fired up with some post oak wood. And we're simply gonna throw these ribs on right about there, trying to make sure everything stays nice and straight, and begin the cooking process and get some good smoke flavor on here. And we're not gonna do a true cold smoke like sub 90 degrees or something like that, but I'm gonna keep it pretty low and slow, probably somewhere around 200 to 225, no hotter than 250, just to get some good color, some good smoke flavor, and start the cooking process and bring these up to an internal temperature of 150 degrees. And how long you let these smoke at this stage is completely up to you. You know, you could throw these on a pellet grill with a pellet tube and let them smolder away at a true cold smoke for 6 to 8 hours if you like. But because I've got these on the offset, it's got a much denser smoke coming out, so they're probably gonna smoke up a lot quicker. Also, we're gonna be double smoking these after they come off this pit, so I'm really not too concerned about getting as much smoke on there as possible. So probably go about 4 hours or so, or until they come up to temp. But we'll check back in on these in a little bit. 4 hours later, let's check in on these ribs. Looking absolutely beautiful, got a lovely red color to them, and looking positively smoked. And smelling a lot like bacon, honestly. Definitely got some good smoke flavor and color on there. Underside looking good. And I did temp these about 10 minutes ago, and they're rocking right about 155, 160 internal. So now off they come. And at this stage, we want to let these cool down completely before we separate them into individual bones. So I'm going to park these in the fridge overnight, but if you're in a hurry, you could probably stick these in the freezer for an hour or so. Whatever makes the most sense for you. But for me, we'll check back in on these tomorrow. One overnight chill session later, these ribs are looking absolutely beautiful, nice and red, nice and smoky, and positively chilled. But now we need to go ahead and get these separated into individual ribs. So, simply enough, I'm going to do my best to keep these cuts nice and straight, and just go right between the bones. That was oddly satisfying. But what we're left with is some positively bacon-looking pork spare ribs. I'm pretty pleased with how that is looking. Nice and pink, nice and fatty, nice and smoky. God, they smell so good. I kind of want to just take a bite right now. But we need to cook these to tenderness. But it would appear that that curing salt made it all the way through because it's looking nice and red all the way through. Very happy about that. But before we throw these back on the pit, we need to go ahead and rub them down with one more rub, which is simply a 50-50 blend of 16 mesh black pepper and some brown sugar. No more salt, because we don't need any more salt. Actually, we might. I don't know. I guess we'll find out when we taste these. So I'm just gonna grab some rub and get these all coated. And hopefully it sticks. It's like making bacon burn ends, but on a bone. Get these all turned over and get some rub on the sides, because we're not gonna forget the sides, folks. Come on, get it pressed in and get the top side as well. And just like that, these are thoroughly rubbed and coated all over. So let's go ahead and throw them on the pit. Got the old offset fired up again. We're rocking right around 275-ish. And simply enough, back on the pit we go. And from here on out, it's pretty standard rib cook. Just gonna get some more smoke on these, cook these to tenderness, probably pull them at like 190, 195, and build up some good smoky bark. And while those ribs cook away, let's go ahead and knock out a quick bacon rib glaze pulled straight from the brand new Leroy & Lewis cookbook. On sale now at chudsbbq.com. Also, there's a whole page right about me on the bacon rib page. How nice! Starting by going into a pot with some melted pork fat, aka lard. And once that's nice and hot, in we go with 2 bunches of green onions. Let those cook down for a minute. And after letting that cook down for a minute or so, starting to look nice and soft, in we go with some chopped up garlic. And get that toasted off as well. Good Lord, that is smelling absolutely fantastic. But once we're starting to see a little bit of browning, in we go with a ridiculous amount of some bourbon. And if you're feeling frisky, you can light it up. Ooh, hard to see in the daylight, but I can feel it. Now we're gonna let that deglaze the pot and burn off that alcohol for a couple of seconds. Shame. And after flambeing for the last like 10 minutes, it took a long time for all that booze to cook off, but the flame has finally gone out. So now we can go in with everything else, including some sambal, little spicy chili paste, some Worcestershire sauce, some maple syrup. This is what we started using. I think nowadays they're just putting brown sugar in, but you know, bacon, maple, gotta be done. And to finish it off, we'll go in with some pork demi glace. This is 1 quart of homemade pork stock that I reduced down to 1 cup. And in we go. Bring a lot of nice flavor and richness. And then we'll bring that back up to a simmer and let it cook for about 4 or 5 minutes. And once this is cooked down for a couple minutes and everything has come together, I'm gonna go ahead and strain it off into another pot just so I can keep it warm and sift out all the solids. And just like that, our beautiful bacon rib glaze is done. Oh God, oh geez. 4 hours on the dot later and checking back in on these ribs. These are looking absolutely beautiful. Really nice bark on there. Looking nice and smoky, feeling nice and tender. I just probed one and it's right around 195, 200 degrees. So I think it's time to pull these off. But gotta say, it really does look a lot like a mini little bacon rib. Nice and barky, nice and smoky, and smelling very nice. So now, off they come. And honestly, these look good enough to eat right now, and I'm sure they'd be delicious, but we did make this beautiful glaze, so let's go ahead and get some of this spooned all over the top, because this also smells absolutely incredible. And at the restaurant, we would wrap these individually, but because these are not gigantic bacon ribs, I'm just gonna wrap them all together, which I think should work out just fine, and just get these bad boys covered in this lovely, flavorful glaze. Smelling so good, but now I'm gonna go ahead and get these wrapped up, and let these rest down. And just like a normal rack ribs or any other piece of barbecue, you could pop this in the food warmer and give it an overnight heated rest if that's what you wanted to do, but we're already like a week and a few days into this process, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let these rest down at room temp for the next probably 30-40 minutes until they come down to eating temperature, and then we'll see how they came out. I almost just said slice into them, but they're already sliced. Very convenient. So I'll see you in a little bit. And after resting down, I think it's finally time to dive into these and see how they came out. Oh, looking so good. Big, beautiful stack of some bacon-cured spare ribs, but you know we gotta finish them off with a little bit of a oops. Oh no, what have I done? Little extra rub, little extra jus, and a little extra glaze. Pretty happy about that, folks. And it also means we've got ourselves Bacon Rib Mountain. Love it. You know, it may have taken a little bit over a week of work to get to this point, but now that I'm staring at a big pile of bacon ribs, I'm pretty excited to dive on in and see how these came out. I mean, really, folks, what's not to like here? It looks just like a bacon rib, except a little bit smaller. But honestly, it's still pretty tall and pretty meaty. But let's see how it came out. That is a bacon rib right there. That is so good. Perfect cook on that. Nice and tender, not falling off the bone, but still incredibly juicy. Yeah, that's it. Definitely doing this again. Got that bacon color all the way through. And the salt level is perfect. That was the only thing I was concerned about, is how much cure to put on these little ribs. But the 1.5 worked out perfectly. It's not too salty. It's got a decent kick to it, honestly, from all the black pepper and the sambal in that glaze. And for all the sweetness in that glaze with the bourbon and the maple syrup. It's not too sweet either. It's perfectly balanced. And quite a tasty bite, I must say. Yep, that's a winner, folks. I'm honestly surprised I've never done this before. And I've never seen anyone do it either, although I probably could just look up bacon ribs online right now and find someone that's done it along the way, but I've never had them like this before. But that is a fantastic bite right there. I mean, what is not to like about that? So sweet, so complex, so smoky, yet so tender. And it's always nice with these cured things, how it's just flavorful all the way through, you know? It's not just like a rub on the outside. The meat is flavored all the way through, but you still get that perfect bite through rib texture. Gotta love that. Now, I will say, these are super tasty, but it's not the same experience as eating a proper bacon rib from Leroy & Lewis, you know what I mean? Because a proper bacon rib is this, plus an entire pork belly on top of it, but at the same time, from like a diarrhea perspective, I'm not really missing the pork belly. You know, it's not often that I'm eating ribs that I said, man, I wish I had pork belly to go with this. But at the same time, it's a showstopper, it's a centerpiece on a plate, and like I said, it's a proper eating experience when you get a gigantic bacon rib. But you know, for the poor man backyard version, I'll take these over some regular pork belly burn-ins any day of the week, because these are fantastic. They're so good. Nice, clean bite, tastes like bacon, not too salty, not too smoky, not too sweet. Winner. And on another side note, I was a little bummed out when I saw they changed the glaze from just straight maple syrup to this new, little more complex glaze, but that slight Asian flavor from the scallion and the sambal in there works out very nicely. Plus all that bourbon, not mad about that. That is ridiculous. But before I go ahead and knock out like 4 or 5 of these things, I think it's time for the official taste test. Ooh. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make some absolutely fantastic bacon-cured smoked spare ribs. I don't think I can legally get away with calling these bacon ribs, so cured spare ribs will have to do for now. But I highly recommend giving this one a try, you know, especially if you haven't had the bacon rib from Leroy & Lewis. This is a really good way to get a taste of one in your backyard. Although I highly recommend seeking out the OG at some point in your barbecue journey because, like I said earlier, it's just much more of an experience than this one. But at the same time, these are really tasty, pretty hands-off, pretty easy process. It is a bit time-consuming with the weak cure and the double smoke, but everything was super easy, and the ribs came out tasting a lot better than I thought they would, honestly. I was concerned the whole time about the salt content and the sweetness, and if the thin rib meat would get too dried out, but all in all, those are fantastic. 100% something I'll be doing again, because they were really tasty, and unlike any other rib I've made on the channel. But it does beg the question, what should we do next with ribs, you know? Should I get Matt down here and we'll do some Canadian bacon ribs with some baby backs? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give these ribs a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Team Chud members. Thank you for supporting this channel and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.